What's up, everybody? It's been a while since we've been in the garage. It's been a while since I made a video. It's been a while since I really did anything at all that wasn't completely out of control rushed to make it for a drift day. So actually the car's gotten a ton of work over the past few months. We replaced the crank, we've replaced the heads, we've overheated it, we've replaced the water pump. We've done a ton of work to the car from when we kind of finished it in June to just maybe a month or so ago. And after that I kind of just took a break. I hurt my back, so I haven't really been doing much of anything. But tonight, it's a weeknight, and I was just sitting on the couch doing nothing. Back's feeling all right. I decided I'm going to come out to the garage and get some work done. So over the past few months while we're drifting, I found a few issues with the car, a few teething issues, but none more important than my overheating issues. I have tried everything to fix my overheating issue. I have found warped heads, I have found cracked heads, I have found channeled head gaskets, I found water pumps that weren't right, I found all sorts of stuff. But one of the major things that's happening now is that I'm not getting enough airflow through the radiator. So for a long time, most of the season I was getting air bubbles in the engine that I just could not get out. It was causing overheating. It was causing basically compression to go into the cooling system, and that would create more air bubbles. And at some point I was even lifting heads. So I had the boost turned up too high and I was lifting heads. So I've had all these cooling issues, but now we've got them basically all sorted. And there's two things I want to do left. One, I need to get some more airflow through the radiator. So when I put my hand in front of the radiator, like this, I can actually not feel any air flowing right here. I can feel air flowing over here, but I can't feel any air flowing here. And that's because I think the air is stalled there. So actually there's hot air coming through my fans. My fans pull about 4,000 CFMs, maybe 4,200 CFMs. And there's hot air coming out of the fans, but it's actually just kind of circulating around and going back through my radiator. So my radiator is not actually pulling cold air from kind of that fuel cell compartment area behind my firewall. It's just pulling hot air that it expels out the back, and then it goes around and pulls hot air again. So that is what I want to fix. I want to block the hot air that comes around. I don't want to do a shroud up through the windshield. You guys know that I want to keep a full rear windshield so that it kind of keeps everything clean down in the trunk area there. But I am going to have to put some more vents in it. There just aren't enough holes in the back of my car for enough air to flow through, even if it was ducted properly. But I am going to block the radiator forward and separate the hot air behind it from what is likely like 90-degree air in front of it, because it's summer here in Georgia all the time. But when I'm drifting, at least. So today I want to make kind of block-off plates, aluminum block-off plates. And I've already made a bunch of cardboard templates. So to do it, they're actually really complicated shapes. So I made the first template, that's one side. I got the other template for the other side. There's a bend in them, there's different shapes. Then I kind of made another one out of thicker cardboard. That one was wrong too. So that one wasn't quite right. This is the other side here. You can actually see I had to score it to be able to bend it. But you can see I still had to add a lot of tape and a lot of sections to these ones. Then I made, what I was hoping was going to be the final ones, but I still had to add a little tape to these too, but not so much. And this one came out the best, I think. I just had to add two little pieces. I wanted these templates super tight. I really don't want to have to put ducting tape all over the back of the car, because it makes it really difficult to get anything out of the back of the car if I have to remove the radiator, the batteries, or the shrouds for any reason. So I've already cut one of them out of aluminum. I cut this side here. You can see actually not so bad. I still have to take it out. You can see that little piece needs to be bent over still, but actually it comes up to the side of the radiator there pretty nicely, fits up against there. Put a little bend in it on a Night Owl's brake. So this is going to separate the hot air behind the radiator from the air in front of the radiator. And if you look, actually the radiator is covered in tire debris. There's tire debris all in here. There's just a lot of stuff swirling around in here all the time, but I don't need any of that to block the radiator. And if this doesn't work, I'm going to have to move these batteries because there's just not enough surface area here. So hopefully I don't have to move these batteries because I have no idea where I can put them. But we're going to try this shrouding first. We're going to shroud the sides, this side, and this side here. The top of the radiator and the bottom of the radiator under the battery. So there's going to be no way for the air that escapes out of the back of here, these fans here, to swirl around through the sides of it, or through the top of it, or through the bottom of it, to get back through the radiator. So I got this beautiful piece of 3003 aluminum out of the drops pile at Metal Supermarket, so I just paid scrap value for it. It's big enough to do the two side pieces, and it should be big enough to do the top and bottom pieces as well from this section up here. But I'm going to go ahead and cut out the other side, see if we can get it fitted in there, and go for it. I wanted to get 3003 aluminum because I knew I needed to bend it. And if you bend some other types of aluminum, they'll crack, they're brittle, and these is actually okay for bending. I think honestly it's like a poor quality aluminum, and that's why it's better for bending. It probably has some other metals in it. But this is what works for bending, so I don't really care. As long as it's light. This is a handheld electric shear. It's probably the most dangerous tool in the shop. You can see this one's quite old, but it's been really good. Look at this thing. Chop your finger right off if you get anything stuck in there, and it'll take a thick chunk out of it. And it makes cutting aluminum fast. It makes cutting really anything fast as long as it's under, like, I don't know, 16 gauge aluminum or maybe 20 gauge metal, I'm not sure. But it also provides like a much cleaner cut than tin snips do. But it's not as mobile as tin snips, so you can't do like really tight corners or stuff like that. You'll have to relief cut it and things like that, and probably overall waste more material. But the speed can't be beat. And there we have it. One of the weirdest shapes I've ever made out of metal. This part here gets bent downward. This kind of goes over where the rear deck used to be, and the radiator will be on this side. These little humps are for some wires that go to the batteries and things. And then this curve right here is to go over the wheel well like the other side. So if we come over here, we look tight against the wheel well, comes up into the corner of the strut tower. We're doing the same thing on the other side here. Tight to the wheel well over the radiator. But on this side, we're going to go straight to the fins. On this side, we had to go to the hoses and leave the intake kind of open so we can get the hoses off. But we're going to fit this in here. So we don't need to bend it or anything. It actually all fits in here. Except we got to get these hoses out of the way because although the cardboard went around them, I don't want to take a chance and cut them with the aluminum. So I'm just going to unbolt this guy right here and move these kind of. So we're over here. Looking pretty good so far. So you guys saw that one. That one fits pretty good. But if I walk on, I don't want to open my garage door. It's cold outside. If I walk all the way around here. This side doesn't look too bad. I had to put a little bend in it. You can see it ends just about a 1/4 inch from the fins there. And I put a little bend in it right there. You can kind of see it. It's very slight, but it kind of came over too far. So bent it. Fit up's pretty good. Just got to bend that top part there over. And we'll be good to go. I got a screwdriver up here holding it back because it kind of falls forward a little. But it's looking pretty good so far. I'm pretty happy with this. And looking at them from the back, so we got one coming here, one coming here. You can see they're completely different, like shapes, pieces. They're all different. But I'm gonna make a top piece that goes across here. These lines will be inside the duct in there. The top piece will come across here. And then if we look all the way down there, you might be able to see a little bit of light between the batteries. We're gonna have another piece underneath the batteries there. So I drilled those 2 riv nuts out that were here. I'll probably, actually use them either to make a bracket to hold this back where it's supposed to be, or put a riv nut in the other way. I'm not sure yet. But actually, this one's pretty easy to get out. So these look pretty good. I got this bent over here. Covers up where the rear deck lid used to be. This is kind of a mess from where I cut it out. It's kind of difficult to get an angle grinder in here. Fits all right all the way down. couple spots for the wires. Comes pretty close into the radiator here. Over on this side, we did the same thing. You can see we bent it right there. Pretty good fit all the way down the wheel well. Over here, nice fit up here. Nice fit against the radiator there. Nice fit against the wheel well. You might need a little bit of tape. There's a little bit of a gap there. You can see I bent this top corner over and a little bit of a gap there. But I think it looks pretty good. Get a sense for how tight it is. I mean, this thing's not even bolted in. This one is kind of tough to get into. So I was able to kind of squeeze this one into place, but you know, you can see there's not too much light shining through there. Not bad at all, I'd say. And now we got to make this piece across here. So funny story, when I first debuted this car at Clutch Kickers, I didn't have any ducting, obviously. And Dustin Miles came over and he said, shit's not gonna work. And I said, huh? It'll be all right, it'll be fine. And he's like, no, the air's just gonna go out the back of your radiator, come around and go back in. And you know, I see lots of pro cars without any shrouding at all. And you know, I don't know if they're just running electric pumps or they're just somehow getting airflow back there that I don't know about, but I was like, nah, it'll be fine. Meanwhile, in my old E36, I had this huge duct that went up through the rear window, and it basically never overheated. That thing lasted about, I'd say about 3 hot laps before I actually saw the temperature start to climb. This car here would only last about one lap. So even in competition, I've been getting very close to overheating it, and it's just not a good situation. So I really need it to stay cool. And I've got everything else right? I've got the 55-gallon Messier pump. I've got 20 AN lines. I got a lot of water running through here. I got 4,200 CFMs worth of fans, and I can feel how hot the air is coming out of the radiator when I stand behind the car. And it's fine at idle. It's fine driving around town. It's even fine going down the highway. I wouldn't know. I've never had it down the highway, but I have had it at 3,000 RPM for a little bit of time, and it doesn't heat up slowly. It's just when I'm full throttle for like 30 to 45 seconds for a lap, it will heat up, and it heats up fast. And I think that's because basically my radiator is heat soaking from the air coming out and going in. So my radiator is probably getting to about the same temperature as the coolant, and the air coming through it is also the same temperature. So I'm not actually getting any cooling effect. When I bend something, I don't actually bend it on the line that I created, because the bend actually has some distance to cover, and we're going to stretch the metal as we bend it over. So I always do like maybe a 1/16 of an inch on the bottom of the line, just because I think it should be too long. We can kind of like cheat it in a little bit. We can bend it further, but too short and it's not going to fit over. So really fine line. I mean, we really don't want it too long or too short, but this kind of been working for me. So not bad. You can see the bend starts after the line I drew, and really the inside of this line is what I'm bending over, so should be fine. This side, similar. Alright, so we got our piece in here. It's going to sit like this. I'm going to bolt it to the sides that we made earlier down in there. And you can see, actually fits pretty nicely. And if we look through here, we're going to have to bend that up and bolt it to the bottom of the, well, what's left of the rear deck here. So I think I'm going to call it here tonight. It's getting a little late. I mean, almost 10 o'clock. So I'll come back tomorrow night and finish this up. We got to bolt the top on and make the bottom. So to make the bottom, we got to pull the batteries out. So we'll do that tomorrow. All right, guys. So it's the next day. I just got home from work, and we have the bottom piece of the shroud still to do. So I'm going to make that today, and hopefully kind of finish up this little shroud project that we've been doing over the past couple days. So originally, I wanted to put this piece under the batteries. So this goes straight down to the ground, that little gap there goes straight down to the ground, and I want to put this piece underneath the batteries. But then I remembered it's nearly impossible to get these out with the fuel cell in. So that was a pretty big mistake I made when I built this car. This battery holder has like 2 bolts behind here, and it is possible to get in there with a wrench, but you can only turn it like a little bit at a time. So it may be easier to just take the whole fuel cell out. But instead of putting it underneath there, I'm actually just going to put it all the way underneath, because actually the radiator hangs a little bit lower than this bar here, which means I can bolt the piece of aluminum to the bottom of it. So I'll go ahead and get this thing jacked up, creep under there, and show you what's going on under there. Alright, so underneath the car here, first of all, you can see there's tons of rubber everywhere. Over here. Look at all this. Well, I gotta clean this thing. But anyway, I'm gonna make a piece that comes basically from the bottom of the radiator here, comes forward, and I'll attach it to this somehow with an L bracket or something. So we gotta make a piece that fits all in here. You can see the battery brackets here. It's getting a little dark under here, but you can see the template's fitting real nice. I got this side where I wanted it, and then I folded it over and traced it onto the other side there, and you can see this is going to block all this off, with the added benefit of keeping all the tire debris out of there. Look at this, guys. It's like a perfect piece of aluminum. I got the side plates out of this portion, I got the top plate out of this portion, and now I'm just going to use the middle and grab the bottom plate with very little waste. I can't believe I found this piece in the drops pile. Alright guys, sorry about the light, but it is actually dark now. I got this piece all cut, trimmed, fitted. You can see it fits pretty nice. I just put a couple bends in the corners there. So maybe you can go like this and see it, just so it matched up after this little bracket here. So yeah, I think I'm going to call it on this one. This looks pretty good. Okay, so now we have the top piece, both side pieces, and the bottom piece all fabricated. And I just got to figure out a way to hold them in, so I think you guys can probably figure out your own way to hold these in if you make them yourself. It's going to be different from mine anyway. I didn't want to put tape around it, so you see a lot of these radiator ducts with like metal tape, like they use on actual ductwork in a house. You see them duct tape, like, well, it's not really duct. It's not this duct tape. It's this duct tape. So this is like metal tape. And it doesn't actually have a name on the inside, but you know, they'll tape off all the corners so that air can't escape. And I didn't want to use this. I used it on my E36. It worked fine. You know, it just looks kind of ugly. But the more I think about it, the more I think, you know, I should probably look at it as function over form, not how bad it looks. So I'm probably going to end up taping basically every corner and the whole inside of it. And that way I have to use less brackets too. It'll be more airtight. Less brackets. It won't look as good, but maybe I can try to, you know, make it look as good as it can. But I think I'm going to end up taping it, just so that no air from the rear of the radiator can scoop around to the front of the radiator. I'm also thinking about cutting a really big hole in the top of this. So after looking at some cars that don't have this type of ductwork, the only thing that I can imagine that's keeping them from having to have this ductwork is putting a very large hole right here, and most of them do have that very large hole if they don't have any of this ductwork we just made. If they do have this ductwork, I mean, maybe not, but I'm thinking all of the heat would rather escape up through these holes than go back around if you have a hole here. And really, this hole in the back of my trunk where the license plate used to be just really isn't enough, and it's not upwards, it's kind of out. So the fans are pushing some hot air this way, but the hot air really wants to go up and out. I'm not going to cut a hole until I test this setup. If this setup works, I'd rather not cut a hole back here. But if this setup does not work still, then I am going to cut a hole back here, maybe 2 holes, make them look, you know, somewhat nice. I'd really rather not do that because I kind of like having the street car look of not having giant holes in my trunk. I just have that one where the license plate used to be, which in my opinion looks all right. But you know, if it has to be that way, it has to be that way. And I'll do it. I'll do it if I have to. So if you enjoy content like this, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We're getting really close to 1,000 followers. I have like, I don't know, 770 when I'm making this video right now. So please, 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 if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, subscribe to my channel. This January will be 2 years that I've actually been doing this YouTube channel. And of course the consistency has kind of fallen off a little bit in the past year. after I finish the car, but I do intend on continuing this YouTube channel and this journey down the road. So please hit the subscribe button. I see the analytics. 80% of you that watch my videos are not subscribed. Please subscribe. So the next thing we have to do to further cool down my cooling system is I'm going to insulate or kind of reflective wrap these lines right here. These lines don't have any protection on besides the AN stainless line in the first place. I did stainless line because it has a little bit more heat protection than the nylon line, but it's still not enough. And you can see actually how close, in fact right now it's actually, that's not gonna have to change that. It's actually touching the wastegate right here. So you can see how much heat is probably going into these hoses right here from being near the exhaust and near the manifold there and going back there. So I'm gonna reflective wrap all these to further cool it down. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.